All right, welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Shawn Bradford. I am with Breathe and Work. I am a corporate yoga teacher and a corporate yoga teacher trainer. I am so excited to be interviewing today Jill Kane. She is a wellness expert, a wellness consultant to HR managers wishing to implement wellness strategies in their corporation, in the company they represent. Welcome, Jill.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here too and talk about this.
I am so excited to be here and to really pick your brain to help yoga teachers understand how they can work with folks like you that make the hiring decisions to bring on a yoga teacher in a business. And with that being said, can you give me a little description, please, of what really is your role as a wellness consultant?
Sure. So I'm kind of like the person who goes into corporations and looks at everything. So I have an HR background. So I've worked inside of organizations to help them launch wellness programs and to help them take what they're currently doing and just make it more effective. So really what I go in is kind of go in and look and assess, kind of assess where they're doing things that are working, what's not working, what are employees really asking for, what do they need, what do they want, and then kind of building out a plan from there. So that's kind of what my role is. So I'm kind of this project manager for well-being initiatives. So from that lens, I'm going to be kind of hoping to answer some questions and shed some light for your audience on, just vendors and corporate, specifically corporate yoga instructors and how they can get started and really, get into corporate if that's what their goal is.
That is so helpful. And yes, anybody watching this, that would be their goal, how the yoga instructor can bring their yoga offerings into a business. So thank you for answering these questions. And I think you already answered it, but just to even clarify further, how specifically do you support the HR professional? Because from my viewpoint, they obviously have so many hats. So I see it as, you're coming in as that specific wellness hat to assist them because they have so many other responsibilities. But I want you to, either elaborate on that or correct me, whatever it might be.
No, you're exactly right. Yes. So I've been in HR for over 20 years. So what I tend to see is that a lot of companies are recognizing increasingly more and more that well-being, wellness is really important. And so when they get started, they're kind of, not sure where to start. Where do we look? So oftentimes they'll go to their health insurance provider who can set them up initially, and maybe that will get them through year one, but then really they need to continue it, right? It needs to be part of the strategy and overall kind of culture of the company, right? So I help them really, establish what that vision is and what that mission is, help them really identify their long-term and short-term goals with well-being, really put some thought behind it. And so what I tend to see with HR is that either they don't have a dedicated role to doing this, or they kind of add it onto another person's job. So somebody in the realm of HR is also doing the well-being work, but then unfortunately there's a lot of other priorities that kind of take precedence in, fires that happen. So that diverts their attention from really addressing well-being. So I tend to kind of be that dedicated resource that they can use to kind of do this work, really do this foundational work to establish, not just what programs they're going to be offering, but even just the way that they're working. Are the policies helping employees take advantage of these wellness programs? Because we have seen a lot of companies offer some really great things on their website. Looks like a top place to work and it's amazing. But then employees sometimes feel culture-wise, they're not able to really participate as much as they would like. So you see low engagement. So that's another struggle for HR. So I really help them connect that so that employees can take advantage of these amazing resources and feel like, it's not looking bad on them at all if they want to take that time to put their well-being first.
That is awesome. And that really clarifies it. I can really picture that inside an organization, how even though wellness is so important, how it can take a backseat when there's all these other things. So you're really assisting that whole HR team. And then, of course, you're such an expert in it. You can help with the problems they might not even foresee, such as what do we do if we have low engagement? Or what do we do if, yeah, we put this offering up on our website and our job posting, but wait, nobody's implemented it yet. And that's where, yeah, you come in, which is super cool. So this is, I kind of want to go a little bit deeper into what you're touching upon. Why, you and I have both seen that wellness is becoming a very popular offering that corporations are really starting to embrace. Why do you think that is?
I think people are recognizing more and more because when it started, wellness programs kind of started out, they were really a cost reducing measure, like looking at the health claims and health insurance costs were going up and, really rapidly and
Yes.
uncontrollably. So it was like a way to address some of those main health concerns. But I think now it's evolved from kind of wellness and physical wellness to like overall well-being. So
Mm,
including your mental health, your emotional health, your social support system, your, career progression, all of these like components, your financial well-being, because we're whole people, we bring our whole selves to work. So really it's, and sort of like what yoga is, mind and body, it's you're a whole person, you're coming to work and you're not able to always compartmentalize things and just leave it at the doorstop. And neither, I don't think people should do that either. We should, always be completely ourselves. But yeah, I think that more companies are recognizing that and recognizing that they do need to pay attention and address those things. And not only that, but I think from a generational standpoint in the workforce, the newer generations coming into the workforce really, expect it. They
mm,
expect to have some well-being offerings. And especially if you're in a competitive job market, it's almost a requirement to offer something, whether that's unlimited PTO and vacation time, or it's gym discounts, or it's on site, yoga, or whatever it is. Like they really expect those things now. And I think that it's going to help, companies are really recognizing it's helping them attract and retain the top talent. So it is, in a way, like I think in the beginning, it was really hard conversation around the ROI. Is it worth it? They were kind of still feeling that out. But I think now there's more openness to that idea that there is a huge ROI. And we both know if you invest in your employees and you invest in their well-being, they're going to perform better. They're going to stay longer. They're going to feel cared for. They're going to feel like they can thrive at work. And that's huge for people, and people will stay.
yeah, that there's a few things I want to touch base on that was so beautifully said and so powerful, Jill. So anybody listening that might say, what is ROI? It's what your return on investment is. So if
Yes.
you invest in yoga instruction on a weekly basis, how are you making your money back on that? How are you making a profit on it? And studies do show that wellness programs do return a profit. And then the other thing that you said, Jill, is that was so brilliant is that especially these younger generations are expecting wellness programs. And this tells, I think you're right on. And obviously, from your position being an expert here, you know this. And I think this is just telling us that as time progresses, since this is expected, it is needed to retain talent, that wellness in the workplace is only going to increase. And then the other thing you said that leads me into specifically talking about yoga is HR managers, they're seeing, and how you're consulting them is that, yes, we need to look at the person as a whole because we're whole beings and we bring all of ourselves into the workplace. And if our mental health is lacking, that's going to affect our work. But if we have solutions like yoga, we're benefiting everybody. So let me ask you that then, Jill. I mean, I know this is a really broad question, so I'll let you take it away. But if you can expand a little bit more, why would you, somebody in your position, hire a yoga teacher in a business?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things I want to kind of point on, and just in my experience, working in HR, for companies that actually, invest in on-site gym classes and yoga instructors and meditation, all of those kind of things. I think it's really key. I think there's a trend in wellness and well-being offerings towards technology, just like everything's becoming more and more, about technology. So there's a lot of these apps, right? So there's a lot of apps to help you sleep better and eat better and de-stress and have, fitness programs. And what we found though is that we can continue to keep offering those and adding more and more, but the utilization is not there.
Mm,
People either, don't know about it or, are not invested enough to do it because it's very much do it yourself kind of a thing, right? So I think there's something to be said for whether it's on site or even a virtual class for yoga, that it's creating that sense of belonging, especially over the past year where everybody's been so isolated. They want that connection. So even if you're doing it at home alone, but you're, able to stream it into an organization, I think that is something to be said for that because people are getting more of an intimate experience than doing apps. So I just want to kind of put that out there too, because I think even for myself as in my business, I often think about, well, there's so much technology that can do so many things, but it can't replace human to human contact, right? So I
right.
think that's really key. And then I think that the other piece that's really interesting too, and I know you and I kind of talked about was, I wasn't as up to speed about the differences between corporate yoga and traditional yoga. And I really, definitely understand there's definite differences in what you would come to corporate with. So whether that's modifying certain exercises, just being aware of potential legal ramifications or not being able to bring in certain music or meditations due to religious reasons, like all these kind of
Mhm.
things you don't probably necessarily think about if you're doing this on your own in your own studio. But all of these kind of things, you have to be aware of the culture and the environment and then just the culture of the people. So if you are on site, are these people professionals? Are they wearing suits and ties? And is it feasible for them to really change and take a yoga class in the middle of the day? Maybe it's just that you do some more low impact kind of things that really just bring that mind body connection into balance. And I love that you mentioned, Sean, about like having some trainings that were really focused on team building and mindfulness and bringing that aspect into it. And I think that's super powerful as a corporate yoga instructor, because you can bring so much more than the exercise and the movement itself into it and bring these other aspects in. um, I know companies that where I work now, they have a person who does mindfulness, a whole mindful program. So she's pretty much doing meditations, and then they have a person coming in doing corporate fitness classes, including yoga, including you know weights and aerobics. So there's so many different things, but I think that it's interesting because what we've seen even with the apps, kind of the utilization going down, is those group classes really shot way up, especially over the last year, because people really wanted that connection.
I love this so much because I've been asked before by people that have taken my Teach Corporate Yoga course is, what about all these apps that are basically doing what we can do? And you just hit it on the head that there's not that sense of connection, that sense of belonging. And yes, they have their place. There's a meditation app
Mhm.
that I love, that I use, that I recommend as a supplement. But really having those group classes, virtual or in person, you are so right, Jill. They bring people together, they connect people. We have a sense of belonging and togetherness, and that's so huge to our emotional health and feeling like we belong. I love that you touched upon that, and I love that that is recognized as, again, talking about health as a whole person. So thank you for that. And then, even though you touched on this, I want to go a little bit deeper into it. Again, in my course, I really teach like being corporate appropriate. And again, you really touched on it nicely with, we're not bringing religion into the corporation. We've got to be, careful with our music selection, obviously how we're dressing, if it's appropriate for the client even change? Are we going to keep them? All these things that need to be considered. But I also want to touch on, generally a yoga teacher, if somebody walks into a studio that they teach at, all they're doing is teaching. And yes, they need to be a great teacher. They need to, adapt their classes to a corporate setting. But then we have the whole other side of it where when they're working with somebody in your capacity, now we're getting into all the professionalism. They'll need to be invoicing, they'll need to be on time, really responsive. Like, can you touch on some of those things that, again, you might be like, well, yeah, this is expected, but if somebody hasn't worked in the corporate arena before, maybe a few things on the whole professionalism.
Sure, yeah. And I think there is a little bit of a difference now because we've got some in person, right? So probably there may be some more going back to the office and doing these on sites, but then we've definitely got the people who are interested in doing the streaming at home as well. And depending upon the company, they might have several locations. So maybe you're just specifically doing one location, but you might stream as well. So it could be a combination of both, right? I think, just like you would at any traditional class, you probably want to know people's, you know, baseline level when they come in, so you kind of know your audience. But I think also to just being aware of the culture of the company, maybe talking to the leadership or the head of HR, just to get a feel for, how many people right now are participating in some of your fitness programs. Are they interested? Did you do a survey to see how many people are interested in that? I definitely think, you can definitely do even smaller classes that are aimed at a department itself. So even like our HR department will do little, events just for the HR department for team building reasons.
Okay.
So you can even suggest some of those things. I think asking a lot of questions is really great because then you do really differentiate yourself from the apps and all the technology and the kind of turnkey programs, because you're taking into an account what's going on right now with the company. Is this an accounting firm and it's tax season? Like, you got to know your audience and their time limits and what's on their mind and see where they're, what they need the most. And I think just asking the questions really shows that you're paying attention, and you could still customize the program without really reinventing the wheel and still deliver something that they can't get from an app and they can't download somewhere. It's going to just be, those things are great supplements, like you said, but having that customized approach is really going to be quite amazing, I think.
That is so brilliant. Thank you for that, Jill. Yeah, that customization makes it unique and it makes it really valued. So thank you for that. And that leads me to something else that you said. So let's say, you have, actually, let me ask this first. How would you even go about finding, you could technically work with all 50 states because you're consulting, and you and your HR person have decided, okay, for our mind body connection, we are going to bring in some yoga or meditation. How would you go about finding a yoga teacher? Like, where would you go and look? Where should a yoga teacher be either advertising or posting or have a presence?
Yeah, so I'm thinking back to the couple of companies I've worked for. One, I think it was a local yoga studio, and we asked if they could. I think originally we might have had a relationship with them where we had, because it was so close to the office, there was a discount in place for people. So they just came in-house. And it depends. If they have an on-site fitness center, I would definitely look at those companies to see if they're currently offering yoga, if that's something of interest to them, because they have the space. So having the space, I think.
You're saying if the businesses have an on-site fitness center?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And if they have a good amount of employees who are on site, if they're remote, that's another option though. You could still do something streaming. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. I know some companies will bring in like an Optum or like another kind of fitness association or company that will have people on staff who can deliver those programs. So I think, kind of looking at location wise, like if you're near a big city, kind of look at those companies. I think it's on their minds. I just don't know that they're when people go to look for a vendor, it's very much referral based. Who do you know? Who's local to us, or we've worked with them in the past. So the more that you can make yourself present,
Yes.
or even just do something for free, or some kind of freebie, or sharing information, get yourself in front of those companies and those leaders. I think that will help you get your foot in the door for sure.
And with that being said, one thing I offer to my yoga teachers is for them to really put together a 15-minute demo of their services. And when they call
Perfect.
up, cold call out of the blue, HR managers, wellness consultants, to offer that free 15-minute demo so they can experience their services. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that even looking at some places, like if you're wanting to get in front of an HR person, where would you go? So look at, are there any events happening for professionals, networking events in the area that you can
Mm,
attend? So stuff like that. Like in Massachusetts, we have a big event for workplace wellness every year. So there's going to be HR people, leaders, there's health coaches, there's other fitness vendors that have different programs and products. So it's a whole mix of people that attend those things. So just being, putting a few of those events on your calendar each year, I think will help as well. And then you're able to really, network with those people on LinkedIn after the event and just stay top of mind. So it's really about getting in front of them. And I love that, 15-minute demo is perfect because they get to have something for free that they can share with their employees, their colleagues, and it's helping you get in front of the right people.
thank you for that. And I love that. I've never thought, and I haven't suggested that before, about yoga instructors going to these wellness fairs or different events where there will be HR managers. And that's brilliant, Jill. So thank you for that suggestion. That is so helpful. So
Yeah.
helpful. Now I want to segue. Okay, so I'm kind of painting a picture for the yoga instructor where it's like, okay, I've gone to a couple of these events, I've called up HR managers, I've called up wellness consultants, I've offered my 15-minute demo, and now I'm getting some business. And of course, obviously they know they can just propose to you, hey, I'm going to do a 30-minute, mindful stretching class every Thursday, 11 to 11:30. But what could you also suggest where they can include additional things in this package? Like, how can they actually package their services that gives you options and choices?
Yeah, I definitely recommend doing that too, rather than, I mean, it's good to get your foot in the door maybe with one, but really understanding if they're going to hire you for one, more than likely, they're probably looking for somebody that's kind of an ongoing, offering ongoing classes. So I definitely put a package together for that as well. And then the more that you can tie it to whatever's currently going on in that company. So if they're going through some kind of transition, a merger, or they just got a new president, or, if you can like do a little bit of research on what maybe the employees might be experiencing at the moment. And we all know right now it's a lot with the post pandemic fatigue and stress, and it's just top of mind right now. I think it's a
Mhm.
great time to even just approach HR people for anything related to stress reduction, mind body connection, resiliency. Like all of those are benefits of corporate yoga. So I would focus on those benefits. And if you can, like try to figure out what's in the news with those companies that you're approaching, and is it a good time for you to kind of think about going, and approaching somebody at those companies for your services, because there is a need out there. I think it's just a matter of getting in front of the right people.
I love that. I love that, though, creating these packages also based on what's unique to that company. So if we read in the news, they're going through a merger or a transition, then we can definitely, package our offerings and theme them around, embracing change, yoga solutions to help you embrace change. And then again, different offerings on a monthly basis. So I like that. Again, you've really hit a lot on the professional yoga teacher customizes these offerings to benefit the particular customer or business they're in front of. So you've hit on that a lot, and I think that's important. I know I promised you about 30 minutes. I just have like one or two
Oh, no
more
problem.
questions here. Any other skills, Jill, that you think a corporate yoga teacher should have that would make them more attractive to you and to partner with them?
Well, I think that, anytime you can bring in any kind of other training, so if you can do yoga, if you have other certifications in nutrition or stress management or sleep, that those are great as well. The other thing I
Mm,
think I was going to mention, I haven't brought it up yet, but if they're looking to get into corporate, another great way is look at, vendors who are already there. Who do they currently use? If you can get that information, it's great to kind of see who offers maybe a complimentary service that you can go in together, maybe do some kind of workshop together, right? Like
yeah.
it's yoga and I'm just thinking back a few years ago where I was working with somebody who did corporate yoga and I was wanting to offer a nutrition class, so we were trying to partner together to go into corporations with some kind of combined event. So those are just different options. I think looking at vendors who are already in there and seeing how you can work with them too. So sometimes it's hard sometimes to get in front of the right decision maker and to get their attention and
Yes.
really stay in front of them. But another great way is working with their current vendors, so you're sort of like a collaboration or a referral, and that's another great entry point too.
That is so smart. I've not thought of that either. And I love it because if they're already working with the vendor, again, let's say a nutritionist where they simply give nutritional classes in corporations. They're not doing yoga, but for
Mhm.
you to work with that and give each other referrals or co-collaborate a demo. Oh, I love that. You're just doubling down on your efforts. That is so great. And my final question is just opening it up to you, Jill. Is there anything else that, of course, I'm sure there's many things I haven't asked, but anything else that you just really feel that I should know that my yoga teachers would benefit knowing?
Yeah, I definitely think the timing is so perfect right now for what you guys do. It's just so needed. There's such high levels of burnout, fatigue. People are going through stress, but all different kinds of stress. Some people are just isolated and alone, and other people, so they really want in that yoga class, they want that, community feeling and belonging. And other people like are really just stressed out and have so much going on. So I think there is not a better time in that respect for the services that you guys provide. So I think it's just a matter of really hitting upon the benefits and making sure you're getting in front of the right people, those decision makers in multiple different ways. I would just also suggest LinkedIn as well is a really great way to put your content out there. So if you do work with companies or you write blog posts or you write on the topic of yoga or anything health related, that's a great way to get in front of those decision makers as well.
I thank you. This is so helpful. It's been so beneficial. And Jill Kane, wellness specialist, thank you so much for letting me pick
You.
your brain. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I hope your audience found it really valuable, and I'm excited we had this
Oh, I
conversation.
I bet they did. I bet they
Yeah,
did. And hopefully we'll have another conversation soon.
definitely. Yes.
All right. Thanks, Jill.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.